Did you see that the school bus license plate hides the exact date Toy Story 1 premiered? Or that the garbage truck with Lotso appears again? Toy Story 5 is so full of references that the Pizza Planet truck appears 2 times. So today, we are going to review 120 secrets, connections, and details that you probably did not see the first time. If you count all the Buzz Lightyears from the beginning, in total, there are 50. Buzz appears alone, facing the sea, trapped on an island and waiting for a sign to be taken out of there. This is a direct reference to the movie Cast Away, and the reference has a second layer. The protagonist of Cast Away is Tom Hanks, and the original voice of Woody is too. Even though they are modern versions, the 50 Buzzes keep believing that Star Command exists. It is the same programming error of the 1995 Buzz when he arrived at Andy's room thinking he was actually a space ranger. The bright star that the Buzzes confuse with Star Command has the shape and glow of the classic Disney wishing star. When the Buzzes leave the island, the camera goes up to the sky and the clouds work as a transition to Bonnie's world. It is the same white on blue pattern that defines Toy Story since 1995. And this pattern not only appears in the sky, it is also in the drawings in Bonnie's room and on her clothes. In one scene on Trixie's paws, you can still read Bonnie, the same detail that appeared in Toy Story That Time Forgot. Bonnie's father wears a t-shirt with the Grand Basin logo, the place where the carnival from Toy Story 4 was, a reference to Woody's return. The Andersons' car carries the model badge TS5. It might seem like a normal car name, but in reality, it means Toy Story 5. The camera goes down to the tree where Emily played with Jessie when she was a little girl. 30 years after hearing how she was abandoned, Jessie physically returns to the same place where the happiest and saddest part of her life began. The silhouette, the roots, and the shape of the branches look very much like the central tree from A Bug's Life. And the tree also reminds us of the new plant of Earth in Wall-E. Embroidered on Jessie's pants is 1200 Range Road. The number refers to the Pixar headquarters in Emeryville, 1200 Park Avenue. Keena Harris revealed that there was a scene where Emily, already an old woman, found Jessie again and introduced her to her grandson. Sadly, it was deleted because the story changed. But with this, they tell us that their reunion is indeed possible within the Toy Story universe. The melody of When She Loved Me from Toy Story 2 reappears in an instrumental form around Jessie. When somebody loved me, I felt so happy. Andrew Stanton and Keena Harris said that Jessie was not going to be the main protagonist, but the story about loneliness, screens, and fear of becoming obsolete fit very well with her past story. There was also talk of a first version of Toy Story 5 without Woody in order to compare if the saga could move forward without him. Upon finishing this version, they realized that it was something impossible, so they rewrote everything again. When Woody reappears, he wears a poncho, which reminds us of Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name, exactly like a cowboy who has spent years traveling the world. The worn-out area on Woody's head did not just appear for no reason. It is the same place that the restorer cleaned and repainted in Toy Story 2 before Woody was about to be sold to the Tokyo Museum. So, yes, Woody had already had that bald spot for more than 20 years. In fact, in the credits, Bo Peep paints the worn-out part of Woody with a marker so that her man does not look so old. The team designed the fantasies of Bonnie and Blaze with different styles to make us understand that we do not all have the same way of seeing the world, but when it comes to uniting emotionally, we can be on the same frequency. After eating the poisoned cake, Rex turns blue with purple spots. Exactly the combination of Sullivan in Monsters, Inc. or Captain Suds, the small boat from Partysaurus Rex reappears among Bonnie's toys. In the same yard, a repainted robot appears that uses the model of Transitron, the character from Toy Story of Terror. They changed its colors to hide it, but kept practically the whole body. The company that brings Lil Pad to the house is called Ship It. The name had already appeared in Toy Story of Terror, and Ship It does not only exist on the label of a box. Later on, one of their stores can be seen in the background. Lil Pad and other devices carry the brand Eggman Tech. The name seems new until you remember that Eggman existed since the first movie. In Toy Story 1, Eggman was the company that transported Andy's things. 3 decades later, the same brand seems to have become or expanded into a tech company. Even secondary companies adapted to technology, and in fact, Eggman was the nickname of Ralph Eggleston, production designer of the first Toy Story and one of the most important figures at Pixar. The Japanese poster places Woody in front while the American campaign highlights Jessie. When Lil Pad arrives, it occupies Bonnie's bed while the toys end up below. It is the same composition as Toy Story 1. Buzz arrives with the shiny novelty and Woody displaced to the floor. When Lil Pad appears, Trixie says she wants one. I want one. The joke connects with Toy Story 3, where we had already seen her fascinated using Bonnie's computer. Lil Pad and its portal. The pond are inspired by the children's tablets. Leapfrog, even the frog identity comes from there. Pixar did not invent a random device, they manufactured their own version of a technology that already existed in millions of homes. And Rivbit does not just work as another pun with frogs. The name, the posts, and the navigation imitate Reddit. Another visible site is called Intopedia and reproduces the idea of Wikipedia. The black command windows that appear on the devices are taken directly from Apple's Mac Terminal application, a direct reference to Steve Jobs, since if it were not for him, Toy Story would not have existed. Among the applications appears Star Adventurer, the same name of the fairground booth where Ducky and Bunny were prizes in Toy Story 4. While Jessie navigates, a space image taken from Wall-E appears. It is not just a similar galaxy. When comparing the position of the stars, they match exactly. Further down is the ocean, where Marlin meets Dory. Lil Pad refers to Woody as Buffalo Bill, confusing the toy cowboy with a figure from the Wild West. In the English version, Jessie yells, which is a direct reference to Looney Tunes. Among the applications, Pigeon Pizza appears. Its icon shows Xaviero Piccionini, one of the pigeons from Elio, the next Pixar movie set in Venice. The effects supervisor confirmed that there is a second reference to Elio hidden in Blaze's room, but it was not revealed what it is. If you manage to find it, leave it in the comments. Outside Blaze's house, you can see Red, the unicycle protagonist of Red's Dream, the Pixar short from 1987. On Blaze's bulletin board, a poster for the Wilderness Explorers appears, the organization that Russell belongs to in Up. Chelsea's avatar is a beaver very similar to those in Hoppers. Kara's avatar is a small, round blue bird that reminds us of the flock from the short For the Birds. Rith's avatar is one similar to Francis from A Bug's Life. When Lil Pad looks for Jessie on an auction site eBite, it is a parody of the eBay store. And the worst thing is that it says that Jessie is worth nothing. The photograph for the ad was not created for Toy Story 5. It is the same image of Jessie that had already appeared in Toy Story of Terror. The tablet unearths an old black and white recording of Woody's Roundup that appeared in Toy Story 2. One of the apps is called Chicken Farm. The icon mixes a chicken and a barn that not only reminds us of smartphone apps and games, it also reminds us of Al's Toy Barn and Al himself, the Chicken Man from Toy Story 2. Among Snappy's images appear photographs taken in Disneyland. This creates a very strange connection. A park where Toy Story exists as a movie appears inside the universe where its characters are real toys. Lil Pad sends Snappy a photograph of the Dinoco gas station, the classic gas station that appears in several Pixar movies but better known for Cars. Mr. Pricklepants appears dressed as a priest because he had already played one during the Toy Story of Terror movie. Combat Carl returns after becoming one of the best characters in Toy Story of Terror. But did you know that his first design was completely different due to licensing issues? Among the abandoned toys also appears a recolored version of Doc, the zebra-shaped rag doll that decorated Second Chance Antiques in Toy Story 4. Next to Doc, the pink mechanical rabbit from the same antique store can be seen. After the death of Carl Weathers, Ernie Hudson took over the voice of Combat Carl. The strange thing is that Hudson said he did not even know he was inheriting Weathers' character when he accepted the job. He found out much later. The pizza with glasses is played by Bad Bunny in English and in Spanish, telling us all his secrets. Tasty. And in fact, in the early plans for Toy Story 1, the food stop was going to be called Pizza Putt, not Pizza Planet. Obviously, Pizza Putt was a reference to Pizza Hut, and the claw machines were going to have prizes of rubber pizzas with glasses. So Toy Story 5 rescued that discarded pizza from the 1995 sketches. Smarty Pants is a device to teach kids to use the bathroom. But had you noticed that its body is designed like a hanging roll of toilet paper? In fact, its yellow handle on Smarty Pants forms the hairstyle of Conan O'Brien, its original voice actor. During one of the fantasies, Bullseye misspells Andy's name on his hooves again, just like at the end of Toy Story 2. Toy Story 5 lets us hear for the first time the phrases recorded on Jesse's pull string. Friends forever, cowgirl. Take into account that Jessie has been in the saga since 1999, but we had never heard what her voice mechanism really said. The batteries that revive the old devices are PowerCell, the same brand used in the communication equipment in Toy Story 1 to know what new toys were arriving. Plastic hands do not correctly activate Lil Pad's touchscreen, and to control it, that is why they end up using the sticky paw of Sammy the Lizard, which, in fact, this lizard is called Sammy number 2. The number implies that Bonnie already had one before between Toy Story 4 and Toy Story 5. The credits show Sammy number 3, making reference to the fact that when he escaped from Buzz and Woody, Bonnie could not find him again and got a third Sammy. Atlas was created to tell kids how to get anywhere, but he spent years trapped inside a drawer. The toy that knew all the routes in the world could not find a way out for himself. When Atlas shows a location, his avatar uses the yellow ball with the red star from Loxo Jr. Before Toy Story 5 reached theaters, Atlas had already appeared hidden in hoppers. Smarty Pants, Atlas, and Snappy were designed as products from different eras. Their screens, movements, speed, and materials change so that you can feel the technological evolution without anyone having to tell you their year. The graphics that appear on each device were not pasted like a flat image. The team animated them separately and developed a workflow similar to drawing with a virtual pencil so that each device would have its own way of moving. Keena Harris confirmed that a Tamagotchi was included in an earlier version of the story, but Pixar did not delete it because the character was bad, but because it failed to close the licensing agreement with Bandai in time. The art team had to build a house that seemed to exist since Emily's childhood. The worn paint, the furniture, and the surfaces are not random dirt. Blaze's long and curly mane was so complicated that Pixar developed new super advanced super tools to animate it. That is why, if you compare her hair with any other hair there has been at Pixar, you will notice that they are very different. So that the horse Daffodil could move with the correct weight and musculature, Pixar created a completely new digital skeleton. They could not simply recycle Bullseye's body, since a giant toy horse was going to appear and not a real one. Blaze's laptop has a bee that is a reference to The Adventures of Andre and Wally B. The team experimented with artificial intelligence tools during production, but concluded that it still did not reach the quality necessary to create the final scenes. But AIs were used to speed up artists' tasks, not to replace animation. Woody's return is presented from behind and very low, starting with his boots. The shot reminds us of Andy's great final fantasy in Toy Story 3. When Buzz welcomes Woody, his laser ends up on him like during the first encounter they had in 1995. Woody distracts Buzz again by pointing at something behind him. It is the same joke he made in the first movie. The difference is that now he does not take advantage of it to throw him out the window. When Woody and Buzz argue again, Mr. Potato Head comments that it is good to see them fighting again. This is because that is how their friendship began since movie 1. Ham asks to hide behind Bonnie's dresser and makes it clear that he called dibs on it. It is the same type of joke from Toy Story 3 when he also called dibs on Barbie's Corvette. I want the Corvette. The two run towards the back of the Andersons' car, repeating the race with which they tried to reach Andy's moving truck in the first movie. Buzz's technological troop identifies Woody as an agent of Zurg. It is a reference to Toy Story 2, where Buzz also confused anything with a piece of his imaginary space war. The browser used by Buzz's army in the camp copies the shape of Google Chrome, tabs, address bar, and buttons in the same places to convince the other versions of himself. Buzz says, "Search your feelings, you all know it to be true." It is the line with which Darth Vader reveals to Luke that he is his father. Search your feelings, you know it to be true. And the joke does not end here. Buzz claims that Zurg is the father of all of them, and the 50 react in horror, repeating en masse the most famous family trauma from Star Wars. When the Buzzes go through the forest, a deer, rabbits, and a soft choir appear, a clear reference to Bambi. The squirrel that appears in the forest reuses the model from Doug Days. The little blue birds were reused from Turning Red, and the deer was also reused in this case from Hoppers. During that moment, a variation of Love Is a Song can be heard, the opening theme of Bambi. When the humans appear, an unexpected piece begins to play in the music, which announced the hunters in Bambi. One of the Buzzes slowly comes out of the water with only his eyes visible, just like Captain Willard in Apocalypse Now. Among the books, The Velveteen Rabbit can be seen the story of a toy that wishes to become real thanks to the love of a child. The evil version of Bullseye does have a voice, something that the original horse never received in the saga. They did this because they wanted to break one of the most iconic rules of the saga. Lilpad ends up in a Tri-County Charities truck, the same organization related to Jesse's donation. During the chase, orange cones appear almost identical to the ones the toys used to cross the street in Toy Story 2. I wonder what toys are hidden under there. The Dynaco gas station appears again. The yellow Pizza Planet truck passes in front of Jesse, Bullseye, and Buzz's army, forcing them to stop. But later on, another Pizza Planet truck appeared parked at a Dynaco gas station and a Pizza Planet restaurant. The rescue sequence gathers Jesse, Woody, Bullseye, vehicles, horses, and the 50 Buzzes. The team coordinated more than 100 individual characters and described it as one of the most difficult scenes in the entire production. On the buttons of the crane's control panel, the Luxo ball appears. The bots carry a code on their backs, but It was not created for you to scan it with your cell phone in the theater. Lil Pad reads it within the story, and with that, it unlocks the drone mode of the entire troupe. When the buzzes take off, one states that that really is flying, and Woody completes with style. In 1995, they were falling with style. Shortly before the kiss between Jessie and Buzz, the garbage truck from Toy Story 3 passes where Lotso got trapped. When Blaze hands over the toys, her nails appear painted with various colors. Some fans believe that each shade corresponds to a different era of Taylor Swift, who sings the final theme. On the tree appears the message, "Jessie was here," and a buried metal box. Emily had kept memories of her childhood in the same place where she played with the doll that she later abandoned. Inside the capsule, the photograph reveals that Emily named her daughter Jessie. On the back, it does not only say A113. The complete code says TSA13, joining the initials of Toy Story with Pixar's most famous number. The capsule contains a pin with a yellow sphere very similar to a core memory from Inside Out. Jessie ends up using it, physically carrying a memory of Emily during the final chase. After watching a cut of the Toy Story 5 movie, Taylor Swift wrote the song "I Knew It, I Knew You," and that same afternoon, she was already recording the vocals. So yes, the credit song was finished in just 8 hours. The final drawings show us RC again, practically missing since Toy Story 4. Furthermore, the toys end up performing the song that Lil Pad had created by turning Jessie's words into a rap. On the school bus, the license plate TS 12295 can be read TS for Toy Story and 11/22/95 for November 22nd, 1995, the date the first movie premiered. In the credit scene, the 50 buzzes land in a schoolyard and each one finds a child. Even the teacher keeps one. Then he appears inside a backpack with the voice of Andrew Stanton, the director, and greets Buzz again as his son. The movie ends exactly where their crisis began, 50 lost toys finding someone to belong to. And these were the 120 fun facts we saw from Toy Story 5. Did you guys find any others? We read you in the comments.